Welcome to Zoom In, Zoom Out, your global look at news from here in Taiwan. I'm Leslie Liao. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a national level beauty queen? Well, to answer the questions that you might have, I'm joined by Tiffany Chang, Miss Taiwanese American 2022 and Miss Asia USA 2024. We're going to be taking a look at some of Tiffany's responsibilities and her personal journey. Tiffany, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Before all of this, why did you decide to throw yourself into the pageant circuit?
I didn't expect actually to go into pageantry. It was after high school, I was like, well, this is a very different experience than anything I've ever done before. I've always been very academically driven, so I was like, let's just give it a try, see where it goes. And my mom told me when I was small, I loved like running around the house with like heels on. So I was like, okay, just explore that part of myself, see where it takes me. And it became a very fulfilling process. And so that's basically why I continued.
Why Miss Asia USA specifically when there are so many other pageants out there?
You know, throughout my journey of being Miss Taiwanese American 2022, I was always within the Taiwanese American community, and I really enjoyed all the projects I got to work with, as well as, of course, being really ingrained in my Taiwanese American culture. And for me, I felt that to really promote Taiwan on a greater level, it was really important for me to bring Taiwan to the mainstream, right? Like bring it up to not just within the Taiwanese American community, but within the Asian American community as a whole. And so I really wanted to participate in Miss Asia USA to really bring Taiwan's name in the mainstream.
But which one was a little more challenging for you, becoming Miss Taiwanese American or Miss Asia USA?
So I can do interviews, I can talk, I can do research papers, right? But Miss Asia USA, something I didn't really, realize was they really focus, they're very, very strict on also the performance aspect of it. So they were like, well, they told me straight up, they're like, well, your criteria is definitely there, but if you can't perform that day, if you can't really, for the dance aspect, for the walking aspect, if you can't nail every aspect of it, then that title obviously will not be yours. And so that was something I really, really had to practice.
What did it take to become Miss Asia USA? How did it differ from the process for becoming Miss Taiwanese American? Because last time you were telling me you had to put in 6 to 8 hour days, just learning how to catwalk and things like that, how to wave. Was that process any different for Miss Asia USA?
The process was surprisingly different. Going into it, I was not really expecting the whole journey. This was a whole 6 to 8 month process. So I started during the summer of 2023. And that's when all the trainings began. And during the trainings, they would teach us, not just catwalk and stuff like that. Of course, that was a really important aspect as well, but also every week we had to we were ingrained in different Asian cultures, like Mongolian culture, Vietnamese culture. So it was really nice being able to learn all the diverse, ethnicities and nationalities within the Asian community. So
you said you learned about Mongolian and Vietnamese. Was Taiwanese a distinct culture that you had to learn about as well?
Yes. So I was able to teach a bit to all the other delegates about Taiwanese culture. And when I brought it up, a lot of the delegates would be like, Taiwanese, is that Thailand or something like that? Some people surprisingly still didn't even know. So I was really honored to be able to showcase our heritage.
To you, when you were teaching all the other delegates about Taiwanese culture, what kind of parts of Taiwanese culture did you choose to share with them?
Well, I would share with them basically how progressive we've become, because, well, a lot of people didn't even know what Taiwan was. So I would begin with basically telling them, where we're located, stuff like that, and then going into, how progressive our country really is with the first female president, our technology, our healthcare system. I think these are all parts that are really able to bring us up.
At the same time, you are a student at Stanford University, double majoring, get this, in engineering management and human-centered design. Now, what you may not know is that in her bid to become Miss Taiwanese American, Tiffany built a robot that did a catwalk alongside her using the power of AI. Why did you decide to go with a robot? I mean, I know you have a background in engineering, but was there anything else that factored into your decision besides the wow?
It was because, well, Taiwan's technology advancements have been very progressive, especially recently. You know, the TSMC, the biggest semiconductor company. And so that was an aspect I wanted to highlight. And also women in STEM. It's a very male-dominated area. And so I just also wanted to inspire some other young girls out there that they can pursue STEM or fields that may not necessarily be the most welcoming, but there are also role models out there that will support them.
Did you have to like saw the wood yourself, and did you have to program it yourself?
I did. I got a lot of materials from Home Depot, like making a video of like my whole process, and then basically building it from scratch, like coding aspects, and yeah, that was a pretty rigorous process.
Let's zoom out for a minute. Last time we spoke, you told me about some of the responsibilities you had as Miss Taiwanese American 2022. You said that you had to act as kind of like a cultural ambassador. Now, how have those responsibilities changed or expanded since becoming Miss Asia USA 2024?
Right, so I think for me at least, the mission of being within the Taiwanese American community and, you know, bring up our heritage, my mission is still the same, but what's now different is, I guess, the scope of the work that I'm doing. So I'm now not just an ambassador for the Taiwanese American community, but as for the Asian American community as a whole, celebrating the diverse Asian cultures. And so what the responsibilities I now have are basically, for example, for Lunar New Year, I was in like the Tet, like Vietnamese, like festivals, and it's basically just celebrating all the diverse cultures, yeah.
So Tiffany, your journey involves a lot of promoting Taiwan, and I'm sure there's just countless times you've done that. What are some examples? Give me the most memorable time that you were promoting Taiwan and you're like, yeah, this is exactly what I want to do.
I think what I enjoy the most is talking one-on-one with people, talking about, you know, our culture, our heritage, and so I think, you know, with this platform, I guess really, and in any event, like all the Lunar New Year events that I've been able to attend, like being able to not only interact with other Asian American communities, but telling them about Taiwan is my favorite part. Because a lot of delegates there, they didn't really know Taiwan, Taiwan in general, and so being able to tell them about, you know, our food, our culture, our heritage was a really memorable experience.
One thing that you always say is that one of your inspirations is Vice President-elect Shelby Kim. Now, I know you've had the chance to meet her a few times as well. What is it about her that appeals to you?
So she's always been one of my main role models, not only because she's a blend of, you know, American culture and also Taiwanese culture, but, you know, I've met with her several times, and, you know, she's very, very much accomplished. She was the first female vice president to represent Taiwan in DC. And even though she's come so far, every time I hear her speak, she's just so incredibly modest. And it's just, every time she speaks at any event, anything, even though she's trying to convey her message, it's very logical and reasonable, and she doesn't give like any pressure on, you know, what she's, you know, it's just very well balanced. And so she's always just been one of my main role models, and that's something I look up.
So we've been over some of Tiffany's achievements: Miss Taiwanese American, Miss Asia USA, double major at Stanford University. But what you may not know is she's also a research assistant, and she also runs her own nonprofit. How do you balance all of that, Tiffany? It sounds like you have 48 hours a day.
No. Well, it's really, there are some days where I'm like, it's really all about like balance. So there are a lot of early mornings, late nights. I think the most difficult part was like the training process, because that was like the peak of it all, right? And so I would have to basically wait for like the dance studio until maybe it was open like 12 a.m. because the dance clubs are there till, late nights.
Tell us a little bit more about your nonprofit, the nonprofit work that you're doing. Was this part of you becoming Miss Taiwanese American, or was this just something that just came up?
It started a long time ago. I would say 8 years ago with my cousins. And basically, Mad Hatter Knits is a nonprofit organization dedicated to supplying knit hats to premature babies in the neonatal intensive care unit and empowering pregnant women. And so I grew up in a family that's very, like, my grandma's basically like the matriarch of the family, right? I've had a lot of female role models in my family. And so growing up, I learned basically, this time women go through pregnancy and all that, it's really a huge, difficult time for them. And especially during COVID, all these mothers were left basically alone. And then it was just like a whole process for them. And so it's still a great problem, not just in the US, but a lot of developing countries. And so my nonprofit is really, the mission is really to help with that.
Started 8 years ago, and if my math is right, you must have been in high school then?
Yeah, I was really pretty young, middle school, but that's when the idea started to develop.
How does a middle schooler think about such intense issues like this?
Well, it was really just out of pure curiosity. I was just knitting one day just for fun. My 4th grade teacher taught me how to knit. And so that was just a hobby that I picked up. And as I continued to knit more and more, it was out of accident. I bought a really small loom one day, and I intended to make a normal sized hat. But when I made it, it turned out to be probably this small.
So perfect for a baby.
Yeah, perfect for a baby. And at the time, my cousin worked in the nursing department, taking care of the babies there. And so she basically brought up the idea of donating these hats to the NICU department. And so that's where we began to donate every year. It started with Christmas, donating 60 hats, and then we started to recruit more volunteers, and that's where it started.
What's next for you? Because Tiffany, you are very much on the up and up. Last time we spoke, Miss Taiwanese American, this time Miss Asia USA. I wouldn't be surprised if next time I pick you, you're Miss Universe or something like that. But what is your own personal goals and dreams, whether it comes to being Miss Asia or being a student at Stanford or running your own nonprofit or even being a research assistant? Where do you want to be?
I think at the end of the day, I'm someone who's very community driven. I want to be part of something that will basically progress towards making the world obviously a better place. And so whether it be through the work that I'm doing right now, a lot of advocacy work, or whether it's in engineering, I want to be basically at the heart of that.
Tiffany, once again, thank you so much for joining us and doing this.
Thank you.
This has been Zoom In, Zoom Out. For more stories from TaiwanPlus News, be sure to follow us on social media or check out our website. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. We bring you stories from Taiwan.
Every day of the week.
Our reporters travel the nation.
Exploring the issues that matter to you.
News from here in Taiwan and around the world.
What's up, Taiwan? On TaiwanPlus.